Punk Rock Bowling 2021 has officially been re-announced for the 4th time. Here's my friend Kody and I with our Punk Rock Bowling 2021 survival guide.
Tip number one is going to be stay on Fremont Street, because that's where everybody's at. That's where the bands are. That's where the punks are. That's where the shows are. That's where the food and drink is. And you don't really need anything else in Vegas, to be honest with you.
Number 2 here, I said it once, I'll say it again. Drink water, stay hydrated.
So number 3 is get added to the BYO Punk Rock Bowling Facebook page. This is a super cool page where all the fans of the bands come together, talk about the fest, talk about where they're staying, where they're eating, where they're drinking.
Trade tickets.
Trading tickets is the big one as well. So the night of a club show that sold out, you can talk to people that can't make it that night for whatever reason. It's a good way to get in touch with people, make new friends, and it's a super helpful resource for the fest.
The Punk Rock Bowling app and booklet that you can pick up once you're there. The app gives you everything you need to know. Schedules of the main fest, schedules of the club shows, and also the booklet that they hand out at the main fest. This little booklet right here. Yeah. This is basically a hard copy version of the app.
Shows the bands that are playing, shows times, and it's a cool little keepsake. The next tip is that the fest is all ages, but the club shows are not. So this is something to think about if you're bringing kids to this. Kids can go to the fest all day, but the club shows are all 21 plus. Have a babysitter if that exists at Punk Rock Bowling.
Check the BYO page.
Check the BYO page. Someone is babysitting, I promise.
This one, guys, is about the merch situation there. If you're seeing a particular band and they just get off the stage, go get that merch that day. They have a cycling merch system there where some of the headliner bands will have a merch booth out for the entirety of the fest. But most of the smaller bands, they only get a merch booth for the day that they're playing the fest.
Hotels is a big one. So Fremont Street, basically you have to stay on Fremont Street because...
Do not compromise here, guys. Do not compromise. This is the secret to having a good time at Punk Rock Bowling.
We made the mistake of the Airbnb.
About 15 minutes out.
Exactly. And every single day is a hassle to get to the festival. And the nice thing about the places there too, you just park and you don't leave again.
Exactly. Everything is right there within a 1 mile radius. You don't need the car.
Basically, there's a bunch of casinos on Fremont Street, so each one has pros and cons. I think the main one everybody tries to stay at every year is the Golden Nugget.
Yep, that one sells out first. That's the one that I think Punk Rock Bowling has the package deals with mostly. So yeah, those ones go very fast. But that's for a reason, because that place is super sick.
Probably definitely the nicest casino.
Yep, and that's also like the hub of Punk Rock Bowling. You'll find extra merch there. Get your booklets. We'll talk about that. You'll see if you're just trying to get pictures with some people in your favorite bands.
That, and they do the lounge shows during the days. You know, they do the club shows after the main fest, the fest throughout the day, and then some days at noon they'll have somebody just playing an acoustic set in the lounge and the Golden Nugget.
Yeah, we've stayed at the Fremont before. Very good location, right across the street from the Golden Nugget. Relatively cheap.
It's reasonably priced. We park the car there, as we said, and we keep it there all weekend. It's a good, like, budget-friendly option.
Yep. And they got a Dunkin' Donuts in the lobby.
And they have a Dunkin' Donuts.
Four Queens. This place, allegedly, they have no resort fees. So if you're a cheap bastard...
And resort fees, too, for people that don't know, basically what that is, it's any casino-type hotel, especially in Vegas. So when you're advertised the room price, you'll pay that, but you also pay a resort fee for each night. It's for the pool, it's for the gym, it's for parking. So basically it's non-negotiable. So even if you don't choose to use those utilities, you're still going to pay for it. You still get everything else. They don't have a pool or anything, but you're right on the street. So it's exactly where you need to be.
Tell me if I'm wrong, but you still get access to a pool you stay at Four Queens. It's just not on their property.
So Four Queens and the Fremont both don't have pools. And I think once you check in there, there's a community pool. It might be at the plaza. So Golden Nugget has its own pool. The Downtown Grand has its own pool. Gold Spike has its own pool. So if you're looking just to go downstairs or go upstairs in Downtown Grand's case and just go to the pool, that's where you'd want to stay. Honestly, even for us, like, we don't get a lot of pool time anyway. You're either at the shows, at the club shows, or you're sleeping in and prepping for the next day.
The Gold Spike, that's a very interesting place. Doesn't really have a casino feel to it. They have like a big, how do you explain it, Zach? Like they have a big play area for
adults. It's like an open, it's a cool spot. It's definitely different if you're trying to get away from like slot machine kind of feel. So next would be food and drink. So obviously you're going to eat and drink while you're there. Every meal basically. There are places to buy bottles on Fremont Street, but
You're going to pay a little markup.
Yeah, you're going to pay a premium for that.
There's some cheap places down there. You got places like Denny's, White Castle. Do not go to the Coney Island hot dog place.
Been there once. I don't really recommend it. But depending on how late into the night and how deep you are into your alcohol consumption, you may enjoy it. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, if you're looking for a hot dog, here's a little pro tip. Late at night, there's a little hot dog stand that sets up outside of the El Cortez Casino. That is a good hot dog. That's the end of that.
Oh, also Evil Pie.
Yeah, how can we forget Evil Pie?
Evil Pie is probably
It's cheap
the
and
coolest little
super
bar
good.
on Fremont. Yeah, it's you can get a slice and a beer for really reasonable price. They do kind of
Yep.
unsanctioned club shows as well, so you can go see some cool music there. They have a nice back patio. Awesome staff there. Super cool people. We've played there before, and it's definitely recommended.
It's a good time.
It's a punk rock bowling staple.
It's a good time, great pizza. If you're looking for some more expensive options, they got that too. There's a place called La Comida off of Fremont Street. Looks like a little hole-in-the-wall place, but when you get in there, it's a great Mexican restaurant.
Besides that, there's Pizza Rock, which is a cool pizza place. It's about a block up the street. Definitely walkable. A little more expensive, but if you're looking for a good pizza, that's where I would go.
Zach, why don't you tell them about the world's largest pint over at Hennessy's?
It's this corner restaurant right on Fremont. It's called Hennessy's, obviously. It's a cool spot. It's kind of like pub grub, but their whole thing is the world's largest pint. It's obviously not a pint because that's a fixed unit of measurement.
More like 5 pints.
That's a cool place to check out if you're just looking for more of a sit-down kind of situation.
If you like nachos, there's a place called Nacho Daddy. They put things on nachos that you would not think of yourself. Best tips.
In terms of the fest itself, basically you're going to need to check that schedule at all times if you're looking to see a specific band, because the times can change a little bit. Sometimes bands start 5-10 minutes early, sometimes a little later, especially now that they've done the 2-stage setup, which, you know,
Right.
we've walked into a set 15 minutes late that was supposed to start on time.
That's a great point, Zach, about the 2-stage setup. It's a fairly new thing that they've been doing, but like Zach said, if there's a couple particular bands you're looking for and one of them is going to be starting on the main stage while the band you're watching is finishing up on the second stage, you are going to miss some of that main stage band set because just the way that they're rolling the schedule these days.
Totally. If you're looking to see a certain band up close, like, you really can with any band, because the amount of people that are kind of flooding in and out between each band, it's such a long day that you can get a good spot for pretty much anybody. Usually when a band's over, a lot of people flood out to go to the bathroom, go get a drink, whatever.
Go to the second stage.
Go to the second stage, and if you're not feeling that band on the second stage, you can easily just push your way up to the front.
Another just quick fest tip while you're there, before you get there, drink water. When you wake up in the morning, drink water. Before your Jameson, drink water. Zach, you had something you wanted to tell them?
Drink water.
There is food available at the fest as well. A bunch of different little trucks and carts. They always do have good options for vegetarians and vegans most of the time, it seems.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so in terms of the club shows, you're going to want to do the same thing and check the schedules every night, because as we've ran into at times too, when the last band of the festival is going off stage, sometimes that club show is starting that you're trying to go see.
Buy your tickets early for the club shows. I'm talking like the day that they release the tickets online. They sell very quick. They're kind of hard to get your hands on them once you're there at the fest. It is possible to buy a ticket from somebody, but we'll talk about that later. But buy those tickets online if you're available. Zach mentioned sometimes the club show will start right when the last band is finishing. Other nights it seems like the club show will start 2 hours after the main fest. What do? You go back to your room.
Pre-game, have fun, go get a drink somewhere, go to Evil Pie. And speaking of that as well, there are those unsanctioned club shows, as I was talking about. At Evil Pie, Hogs and Heifers has a show. It's a punk rock hoedown, I think it's called. Those shows are super cool too, and they have some notable bands, and then sometimes just smaller bands that you haven't heard but are just as awesome, honestly. And it's
Free.
Free shows.
Free
shows. Free's a good price.
Overall, I'm excited for this fest. It looks like a bunch more bands are going to get added in April, so definitely keep an eye out for that. I'm excited for that. So I will see you guys at the fest, hopefully.